Sleep. Speaking of home, the next time Scoob opens his eyes, he seems to be back there. When he's arrived, he's not sure. Can't say he remembers the return journey, but there are all his most familiar things: impeccably neat entryway, empty peach bowl on the table. Dad! Scoob smiles. Dad's reclined in his lazy boy with his hands tucked behind his head and his eyes closed, listening to his favorite Smokey Robinson and the Miracles album. This is real music, son. What you know about that? In front of a crackling fire, humming along like he doesn't have a care in the world, much less a son he hasn't spoke to in days. Nervous, Scoops creeps down the low-lit hallway. Despite Dad's clearly chill demeanor in this moment, Scoob's seen the switch flip before, cool, calm, and collected, to furious in a matter of moments. Dad's never laid a hand on Scoob before, doesn't believe in corporal punishment, as he calls it. I taught him that, G-Ma once told Scoob, but the ice that rolls off Dad when he's angry, well, Scoob hates how small it makes him feel. He stands right in front of the chair. Hey, Dad. No response. Dad doesn't even flinch. Scoob raises his voice a bit. Dad, I'm I'm back. Dad, nothing. Maybe he's asleep. Scoob steps right up to the chair, his heartbeat thundering in his ears like an angry storm. Hey, Dad! Dad hums for a few seconds, moving his head in time to the music, and when he stops, he smiles. Scoob takes a deep breath, then gulps, reaches his hand out to touch Dad's shoulder. Except his hand never connects with anything solid. Holding it up to his face, Scoob realizes with a start, he can see right through it. Scoob looks down at his arms and torso and legs and feet then. It's all see-through. He's all see-through. Rushing into the hall bathroom, Scoob flips the light on and looks in the mirror. He doesn't have a reflection. Like a ghost. Out the door and around a corner into his room, which doesn't look like his room at all. There's a red, brownish desk, same mahogany as G-Ma's treasure box, where his bed should be. Book-filled shelves line the walls where he'd normally see his superhero posters. Instead of his personal treasure chest, which is full of his action figures, Lego sets, and collection of obsolete computer parts Dad has given him, there's a fancy-looking high-backed chair and ottoman. Scoob rushes to the kitchen to check his personal pantry shelf, the one with his cereals and fruit snacks and s'mores Pop-Tarts Dad wishes Scoob wouldn't eat, but buys anyways. There's nothing but a box of grape nuts, a container of dry quinoa, and a gallon Ziploc bag of muesli. Barf! Even the board where Dad scribbles Scoob's daily instructions is gone. Every trace of Scoob seems to be erased. It's like he's never even lived here. Dad! He shouts then, tripping over his not even solid feet as he makes his way back to the living room. Dad, please hear me. I'm so sorry, Jimmy, Dad says. His body isn't moving, but his mouth is. Though it's not his voice. It's G-Ma's. What? Dad, it's me, Scoob. It's William, Dad, your son. I did the wrong thing, but I'm gonna make it up to you, Jimmy, Dad says in G-Ma's voice again, turning to look at Scoob this time, well, through him, apparently. Scoob stumbles back. Dad's eyes are pure white, no irises or pupils or anything. We're already past where you and I got to before, William and me, Dad continues. You would just love William to pieces, Jimmy. He's the best grandson there is. Reminds me of the best parts of you. Dad rises from the chair with a pillow in his hand and walks towards Scoob. Dad, what are you doing? Scoob stumbles backwards and falls as Dad advances on him, pillow head held at the edges with both hands. He leans over and lowers it towards his face. Scoob squeezes his eyes shut. I I hope you'll forgive me one day, Jimmy, Dad is saying. I'll never forgive myself, but I hope you'll forgive me. I'm going to make it this time, and I'll do what we planned. And then you'll forgive me. The sound is muffled. Scoob can't breathe. He twists and kicks and flails. And when he finally manages to inhale, his eyelids snap open and there are tears running down into his ears. He bolts upright, desperately thirsty and wanting to go to Dad, but smacks his head on the low ceiling of the bunk. Ow! He shouts. Jimmy? Comes G-Ma's voice from the other side of the RV. Jimmy, are you all right? Jimmy! The sound trails off and soon Scoob is hearing her soft snores again. He breathes in and tries to get his heart to slow down. He holds his hands up to his face and he can tell they're solid now, even through the dark. He's got to pull it together. It was just a dream, Scoob. You're fine. Wait, it's dark. Scoob flips to his belly to look out his small window. Again, a bajillion and one stars. It was just creeping into dusk when he fell asleep, which means, what time is it? He moves to climb down and check, but something crunches beneath him. One of G-Ma's maps. It all comes tumbling back into his head then. Contraband, and G-Ma acting weird, and piles of money behind the TV. G-Ma's missing phone. Scoob swallows hard. He really wishes he had some water, and blinks back a wave of, well, he's not sure what exactly. A few things hit him all at once. He's trapped at some campground in Monroe, Louisiana, according to the map, without which he would have had no idea where the heck he is, with no phone and no idea when he's going home. And he really misses Dad. Like, more than he's ever missed anybody. Especially after that horrible dream. Though, what he can do about it, Scoob doesn't have a clue. He sighs and lies back down. Imagines the tire swing behind G-Ma's old house and playing with Shanice on it. Then he drifts back to sleep. Route 16 to Mexico. This time Scoob is pulled from slumber by the fatty fragrance of bacon, which would normally be great, but right now, he's literally lying on pieces of G-Ma's greatest treasures. The photo of G-Pop beneath the old Holte Markel and Meridian, it's dented in the middle, and drool crusted over half the guy's face. Not good. He gently shifts. He doesn't want G-Ma to know he's up until he's got at least all her stuff back in the treasure chest. He'll sneak it back down and slip it in the drawer when she's in the bathroom or something. Hopefully she hasn't noticed it's missing yet. The lid creaks as Scoob is lowering it to secure the latch and he freezes. Thankfully, there's no reaction from below. He shoves the chest as far into the bunk corner as he can. Then he takes a preparation breath before shifting his curtain aside to climb down. The driver's side door of the RV opens the moment Scoob's feet touch the door. He literally jumps and yelps like a scared toddler. G-Ma sticks her head into the cab. You all right there, kiddo? For a second, they just stare at each other because Scoob can't get his mouth to open. Too many responses, some true, some not, are colliding in his head and breaking up into floating letters he can't seem to wrangle back into words that make sense. She then shrugs and climbs into the driver's seat. Left your breakfast in the microwave. Go on and grab it and sit down at the table so I can get us moving again. Moving here. As soon as the door is shut, the rabid funk of cigarette smoke assaults Scoob's nose. That smacks him out of here. G-Ma, I'd really like to call my dad if you don't mind, Scoob says, striding right up to the passenger seat to sit beside her as she cranks the RV. I don't mind, she says, words so surprising to Scoob they blow him back in his seat. He hopes she doesn't notice. You don't? Not in the least. Okay. Don't have a phone, though. The camper thunks into gear, and G-Ma shoots out of the campsite with more force than Scoob expects. You... what now? I got rid of it, she says with a wave of her hand like it's the most trivial thing on planet Earth. Wasn't working right, so I threw it in the garbage. You threw your phone in the garbage. She nods once, resolutely. Sure did. Didn't need a phone the first time I took the trip, and don't need one now. Got maps in my keepsake box, and I just snagged a new one from the campground front office. Scoob is astonished, as Shanice likes to say. He really misses that girl. Speaking of which, have you seen my keepsake box anywhere? She says, could have sworn it was on the carpet before I lay down yesterday, but when I went to look for my old Louisiana map, I couldn't find the thing. Checked all the drawers and the cabinets. Oh, well, no point in lying. At least not completely. I put it in my bunk for safekeeping. He braces himself for fury or suspicion or disappointment. Something unpleasant from her. But when she turns to him, she's beaming. Well, what a good wingman you are, Scooby-Doo. I mean that in the military sense, by the way. Not the way young folks these days use it, she snorts. Relying on a friend to test the waters when you're looking for a date? Amateurs. Despite his mood, this makes Scoobs chuckle. Anyway, so glad you're keeping our treasure protected, she continues. So responsible. Responsible. Dad's favorite word ever in the history of language, which Scoob brings back to the matter at hand. Gee, Ma, you sure it was a good idea to throw your phone out? What if there's an emergency? Oh, we'll be fine. Since when are you such a worrywart? I just mean, Scoob gulps up as pieces of his dream and what it could mean stalk through his head boogeyman style. How's Dad supposed to get in touch with us? Or us with him? We with him, William. Is she correcting his grammar? Scoob has to swallow and clear his throat to do away with the who even are you lady that tries to leap from his mouth. He presses on. I'm not worried, G-Ma. Pure lies. But Dad will be. And like, if I'm missing school, I'll at least need to call Shanice to get the homework. Lordy, you sound just like your stick in the mud father. We're on a whirlwind adventure here. Scooby-Doo, homework, schmomework. An adventure, huh? I'm just saying, G-Ma. Scoob goes on, deciding to run with this particular train of thought. It's as good as a way of any to try and get some solid answers out of her. Exactly how many days of school do you think I'll miss? We should be back home, what, Thursday or so? She grins in that I know something you don't kind of way grown-ups do sometimes. It's a grin Scoob's not too fond of right now. But when she's trying to justify trashing their sole means of communication while reeking of cigarette smoke, he can't even look at her anymore. It's like the woman he spent his whole life looking up to had become a total stranger. All shall be well, kiddo, she says, a grown-up non-answer. But Gee-Ma, besides, she cuts him off. Home is where you make it. An hour and a half farther across Louisiana, which isn't as far as one would think considering their minimum speed limit pace, Gma turns the music down and signals to the exit the freeway. Gas gauge is practically on E. Scooby-Doo, did you know that Louisiana state song is You Are My Sunshine? She asked. Scoob did know that. It's one of the 5 Louisiana fun facts staring up at him from the small box in the top right corner of the Louisiana section of his map. Fun facts he's been reading and illustrating all over the state for who knows how long. A couple others. 1. The highest point in the state is Mount Driscoll at 535 feet above sea level, which is less than 2% the height of Mount Everest. And 2, The state flower is the magnolia. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Want to hear something else great about Louisiana? They turn right. Sure, 'cause why not? This is the state where a girl named Ruby, like me, was the first black person to go to a white school here in the South. Wait, no way. You mean Ruby Bridges? Oh, you know of her then? Dad told me about her in fourth grade. Scoob looks all around him. There are banks and restaurants, gas stations, even a Walmart supercenter. And he knows it was a long time ago. But to think a thing like that happened in a place as normal looking as this? That happened here, he says. Not here. Here in Shreveport, no. New Orleans. But it was still a big deal for the state. Prior to her first day in 1960, schools in this part of the country were completely segregated. Gma turns into a gas station and parks at the pump. As she reaches for the door handle, the truth smacks Scoob. Gma, her eyebrows lift. Yes, William. He has to turn and look at her. Your school only had white kids when you were my age? Yep. Whoa. What was that even like? She shrugs. It was normal. Didn't think anything of it when I was in it. So you didn't have any black friends when you were a kid? Not a one. Dang. But enough about that now. She pats his knee. Let's not dwell on the past, Hop on down so we can grab refreshments while the gas is pumping. Scoob does as he's told, but he winds up regretting it. Because as soon as they step inside the convenience store, the white clerk behind the counter looks between him and G-Ma, and her eyes narrow. He refuses to look away this time, even when, without taking her eyes off of him, said clerk tugs the sleeve of a different clerk, whispers something to him, and then he looks in Scoob and G-Ma's direction, suspiciously. Strawberry brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts, kiddo, G-Ma calls out, none the wiser. He sighs and heads where she's been studying options in the unhealthy snack aisle. You pick, G-Ma. She turns to study his face. You all right, Scooby-Doo? Yeah. Can't face her as he lies, so he pretends to skim the potato chip options. I'm fine. Except he's really not fine now, because he can see the mail clerk restocking something nearby, and the guy keeps peeping in Scoob and G-Ma's direction. Scoob's had enough. I'm gonna get some air. And he walks away, eye stabbing both clerks before G-Ma can say a word. She unlocks the RV as she exits the store, and Scoob climbs in and sits fuming while she replaces the gas pump. Probably should have offered to do it for her, but, well, he's not in the mood. The second she's in his seat, she looks in his directions and opens her mouth to speak, but he beats her to it. G-Ma, how'd you and G-Pop meet? She blinks like she's caught off guard. Filling station, she says. Why'd you ask? Where's that? Were you catching a train or something? Now she laughs. We're at a filling station. Guess you call them gas stations now. Oh, ironic. He was working at one, she says. Pumping gas, wanted nothing to do at all with me at first. She shakes her head, but she's into her story now. I tell you, Scooby-Doo, the excuses I came up with to visit that station as often as possible, wore him down little by little, though. What made you want to date him, especially back then? Scoobs decides to just go ahead and say what's on his mind. I'm sure you knew people would be opposed to that, right? Why put yourself through pain for someone you didn't know? He's really hoping she doesn't say love at first sight or something bananas like that. Dunno, is her response with a shrug. There was something about him that wouldn't let me go. Stayed true for a long time as we were together. Wasn't bad to look at either. She winks. Gross. Scoob shakes it off. So what'd he go to jail for? Like, I know it was grand larceny. Uh, Theft. Yeah. What'd he steal? She doesn't respond at first, but he's got a hunch that she will. She's got her baby blues all squinched up behind her glasses, and she worrying, as he's heard her say when he's doing it, her bottom lip between her teeth. Then she shifts her focus out the window. His conviction involved money and jewelry, but, she sighs, it's complicated, Scuba Doob. Bottom line, he was unjustly imprisoned. Yes, he did some stealing, and yes, stealing is wrong, but he didn't steal everything the police said he did. She doesn't go on. Scoob's turn to look responseless now. We just need to get to Juarez, she says, suddenly energized. She puts the RV in gear. Scoob opens his mouth to speak, but changes his mind. There's nothing left to say. Every Everything will be fine then, they're going. We'll get there and I'll finish. She sits up straighter. We just gotta get to Mexico.